in this episode, you and I are going to talk about cannabis use. And we kind of originally, if you go back over the years, you have worked for youth services, probation services, and I've actually been a cannabis user back in the day. So we kind of, from conversations you and I have different perspectives, but have kind of come to the same conclusion now we're much older.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's lots of hype around the fact that, especially in America, cannabis has been legalized, largely legalized, I think, across 49 states out of the 52. I believe cannabis is decriminalized in Portugal.
It's always been for a long time, for a very long time. Yeah.
I believe there's currently discussions going on in Germany about legalizing it. It's always been decriminalized in Amsterdam for many years, many years, decades. Decades.
Yeah.
In fact, I went to Amsterdam in the very early 90s because of all the coffee shops, that they were famous for. It was one of the reasons I went there. I think I was about 18. So, but you and I were talking about this, and we have a very different perspective on this. And one of the things that we got into is the fact, like with somebody like Joe Rogan and his friends Jerry Diaz, Mike Tyson, it's become like almost a celebrity cult status more than it used to be. It used to be, you suspected maybe they did. It was rarely talked about. Whereas now there's podcasts and people are getting stoned openly.
You only knew Snoopy during those days, isn't it?
Yeah. Whereas now it's, you found out because somebody got convicted for possession.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. Yeah. Of course. Yes.
And whereas now people are openly getting stoned on podcasts, and
I think some of those things is because they want to promote, because it's now a big business and they are selling.
It's a huge business.
So they want to promote the substance. They want to promote it. So you see, if your brand has got Mike Tyson in it, whatever you're selling, people come and buy it, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm not. I have zero issue with people smoking cannabis. I would legalize cannabis tomorrow, right? I don't have a problem with it. My issues moving forward is the simple fact that it's becoming so globalized, so kind of attractive, and being sold as almost like, everybody should do it.
But personally, before I legalize, before talking about legalizing, I think education will be very much important, especially to the young people, because that's where that's where you start smoking cannabis when at a young age, because there's the attraction and that is the drug of choice. But before they get into it, education is very important, because we know there are so many components that makes cannabis. There's the THC in cannabis, and there's CBD, and that THC, the psychoactive substance in cannabis, is that affects people, and for young people or even for people to know that this affects me negatively, this affects you. It's sometimes it's gonna be too late. Sometimes they'll be addicted to it. It's not everybody, and this is clear. This is not everybody that smokes cannabis has got problems.
Absolutely not.
But it's those very few that we have problems. We have major problems.
There is definitely a clear link.
Yes,
a known proven link.
There's research to prove that THC affects certain people in a different way, and they will have problems. They will have mental health problems, so serious mental health problems because of it. And the very funny of it is CBD heals people.
Yeah.
the very same substance, and people with certain issues, especially epilepsy and stuff like, use the CBD, and it has helped them. So, but when you legalize it, you've got to have it's not just say we are legalizing it. You get to have registered places where you can sell it, and that registered places should be Uh, there should be somebody going in, looking at the what stock they have, what's in that stock, what's the levels of the THC in that stock, what's the levels of the CBD in that and other substances
Mm.
that are in that stock. They need to be that needs to be known. It's like when the food that we buy now, it's got so many calories, so many this, so many that. You know how much
If you're going to
sugar
do it
it
with
is.
cannabis, though, you need to be more honest about it than the food industry is honest.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but I'm just saying you need to know what is in there. People needs to know what is in there, and if what age can you is all right for you to buy it, that kind of stuff, because they
One
need
of
to be so much education.
one of my biggest issues with it is people. It gets glamorized by people who are very motivated and very successful. They're highly motivated, highly successful, and then teenagers, young adults are watching them
Yeah,
and getting stoned. And
but
then,
those teenagers and our young adults, they don't see their dark days because some of those people have got very dark days.
but this is what I'm saying is because it's the same as look when kids, young teenagers, adults and stuff, young adults start drinking. There's those that can have a drink and then get up and go to work. There's those that can prioritize going to work and have a drink in their downtime.
Yeah,
And then there's
functional alcoholics. Yeah, there are lots of them.
no, there's functional alcoholics, but there's also people who actually like look, you know I like a drink, but you also know I can go 2 months without a drink.
Yeah,
In fact, it's more common for me to probably only have a drink, a few pints once every 3 or 4 months now. Because I'm too busy and I've got too much to do, so I don't drink. I don't have time or the interest to go out on a Friday, Saturday night, get drunk and lose the day ahead of me. Right?
and I don't judge you for drinking.
No, but you're teetotal,
No, it's just yes. That's why
right?
it's just a
But
joke.
it's and this is the thing is over the years, I've had plenty of friends like, so I just gave up smoking cannabis and all of that completely. I just gave it up
Yeah,
many years ago. I never smoked it again, right? But I was also somebody that was high functioning when I smoked cannabis. I'd still train, I'd still go to work. If I had to get something done, I could get that done first and put smoking cannabis aside, you know? And my concern with, and also when I was much younger, cannabis was very underground. So you had to have there was social restrictions that required you to be discreet.
yeah,
You couldn't be, even though it's still illegal in the UK at the moment, it's much more open and there's much more acceptance of it. And
yeah,
like I
and
said, with what you see on podcasts, in social media, and the legalization around several countries, and it's just a growing business, no pun intended, but it's a growing business. Is but
it is.
people,
It's always been. I don't know the challenge. The challenge is when things go underground, then there is a high risk of criminality,
yeah,
and there are so many victims. For example, there are cannabis farms that happens here in England. Lots of cannabis farms, and it's well documented. The Vietnam gangs running the cannabis farms, and and the science in producing cannabis has gone high, so they manipulated the THC and that kind of stuff. And there is also they used to be called things like spices. They used to be called legal highs,
yeah,
illegal highs. I would call, yeah, things like spice, which is even is far more dangerous than cannabis, and people actually get seriously unwell because using those substances. So that's why I'm saying they needs to be education from very young age. These are the conversation that we should be having with children as soon as they hit secondary school or last stage of primary school. Know what's there, because these kids know it's there. So
yeah.
there's no point of hiding it. They know that it drinks. They know my brother smokes. They know that it's there. They see that. They get a chance. They'll try it. So education is very good.
I mean,
Very good.
no, I agree completely. And one of the things that I think is, and this is that thing is when you see the glamorizing of cannabis
Yeah.
and I'm not. I know it sounds like I'm criticizing. What I'm trying to highlight is often these successful people that glamorize it, they can get a load of stuff done when they're stoned. When they're
Oh yeah.
stoned, it does not interfere with their work ethic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you are young and don't have a work ethic, or you're not highly motivated,
Yeah.
cannabis is going to destroy your life. You're going to
Yeah.
get to 30 years of age,
Oh yes.
be a stoner, probably not have a good job, probably in and out of work, on minimum wage, and you'll have achieved all. You'll achieve
Absolutely
nothing.
nothing. Yeah. You look at the guys in the Rolling Stone. They have been using
Yeah,
substances from an early age, but their work ethic, they are still there. They can afford it. They have got that motivation that
yeah.
music is their thing. That's their goal. That comes more before this.
That's it. They have an
So,
existing passion.
exactly. Whereas most of the people that then follows, most of our young people that follows are trying to copy that, haven't found their passion, haven't
No.
found what they're good at.
Yeah,
So they're
this
actually
is
trying to figure out things in life.
because this
And
is one of
also
the
the
things,
other,
isn't it? Is you and I know that if you don't have a particular drive or passion or focus in a certain area that's going to take you somewhere, right? You're pretty much left with the I just need to get a job to earn money, and then I
yeah,
need to try and climb that ladder somewhere to earn more money.
yeah.
But if you then start smoking,
Or if you've got that, you're better. Some of they just need a job because they've been told they have to work. They've got to pay
yeah,
rent and eat.
but when they start smoking copious amounts of weed, they stagnate and they get stuck there.
Yeah,
Whereas,
yeah.
look, if
And,
you're an aspiring, talented musician, there's a good chance that smoking a bit of weed is going to make you a better songwriter, more creative. The evidence tends to suggest that that's the case. Right? I'm sure there's plenty of examples where it's not the case, but the same could be said with people who drink alcohol. It loosens them. It breaks down barriers in their head that enables them to access dark places and talk about them. You know, Ernest Hemingway, the writer, was a famous alcoholic. There's lots of examples of that, but those are highly creative people.
you're highly functional people, and that's not your everyday person.
That's not your stoner, not your
Yeah,
average everyday stoner.
yeah,
And
yeah.
if there's this, like I said, my concern with the glamorizing of it is people think I can do that because I'm copying that person. Whereas, like if it's the wrong message, look, get your shit done first, then sit down and roll a joint.
And that is very true because in most cases you sit down, you roll a joint, and you have no focus on, wow, what am I going to achieve? And then when you do that, sometimes when you hit dark place when you're rolling a joint, and that's the end of you. Sometimes in other cases, the joint is not enough. You want to try something stronger,
Yeah,
and then something stronger. Then you become addicted to harder stuff, more damaging stuff, and it becomes spiral. Because see, very few people just started with crack cocaine or heroin. They started from cannabis and started graduating until things get out of hand. And very few people can manage it and then think they stop. This is time to stop. Very few people. Most people, they will only stop when they have been in the gutters, when they have lost everything.
but the thing being is, yes, there is the gateway argument that
Yeah.
if you're going to start smoking cannabis, you eventually end up on cocaine, right? The
Not
evidence,
always.
no, but the
Not,
evidence is quite clear that,
yeah.
but the reason for that is because, and look, we can have a whole other discussion about why I think
Yeah.
you should legalize cocaine, but it's the thing is if cannabis is illegal, you're going to buy it from a drug dealer.
Yeah,
Right?
that is very true. That
That
is very
drug
true.
dealer maximizes its output, his or her
Yeah.
output, by selling as many products as possible.
Yeah.
Right?
Cutting it up with other stuff that are not even
Yeah, for sure. But
difficult to mention because they cut it out, cut it with so many different stuff and end up being poisonous.
but
So I have no issues about legalizing it, but it's got to be done in the correct way. Because the thing is, there is
well,
no
I
you
was just
can't hide
writing
away
down a
from.
little note. Why I would legalize cannabis, but I'd suggest you don't use it.
No, 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 no. Well, because the fact is, it's here with us already. We have got it,
Yes.
and there is a lot of criminality joined with it at the background.
And this is it. That criminality is
Yeah.
motivated to sell as many products as possible.
Yes.
But
So
there's just as many. Sorry, it's just I just want to finish this thing about cocaine. Is just because people will try cocaine doesn't mean if you legalize cannabis they won't still seek out cocaine.
no,
They'll
no, no,
still
no,
it,
no, 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 no.
you know
The one, yeah,
people
there's
people
those two.
like to get high. People
Yeah,
like to be stimulated.
yeah,
The guy that there is plenty of people out there who have tried alcohol and have tried cannabis, love cannabis, don't like alcohol, don't like cannabis, like both. Those people, whoever they are, will always chase. There is
yes,
an element of people who will always chase another stimulant because they
yeah,
just like getting off their face.
yeah, yeah. And there's that argument that people like that, if that's what they want, provide it for them
Yeah.
and let them have it in a safe environment. And
My argument has always been: give me an example of prohibition where it's worked.
no, prohibition, I never worked anyway. It doesn't work. It
No,
doesn't
it's never
work.
worked. It's never worked.
Yes, it
So
doesn't work.
we
It
need to
doesn't work.
focus on how we
How
legalize
you can
everything
do things, how you can do things safely.
legally.
Safely. Yes, legally and safely. Because even with legally, it just need to be people who are qualified to deal with these things. Who need to sit down, look at everything, look at examples of the nations where they are using what's have been working there, what hasn't been working there, what were the problems they are facing there, and then you can bring it into your nation because you can't just. There are examples already we have. And then there will be cultural differences when it comes in. So you need to find the best way. But in most cases, when politicians deal with this, it's a hijack. It's a knee jack solution, isn't it? They just come up with this is a popular conversation. Let's take it up. It is a vote honor. Then they take it because it's going to get them some votes, but not necessarily looking at it, forensically looking at it. What has been working? What hasn't been working? Which type of cannabis there is out there? What variations are there? What variations are safe for people? Do people just want the smell? Do they want to get high? Do they want treatment? All those kind of stuff.